who is extremely frustrated and tired. Her daughter brings her granddaughter over to her home every day before taking off to work. The granddaughter is picked up at 7 p.m. daily. She's frustrated because she no longer has time to do her own errands or to meet up with her friends at her old age because of this. There is a colleague who cannot take it anymore. He feels overworked and wants to resign. He realizes that it is not because he cannot finish his work, but because he has to take on the work of his colleague and boss as well, in order to make sure that his work can be properly completed. There is a married couple who works together. They feel an emptiness in their relationship and are of the idea that there is no more love between them. They work 10 hours a day, and on their off days when they meet or see each other, it seems inevitable to talk about unfinished business from the office. There are indeed many more examples like these that make us feel paralyzed. We find ourselves in these less than ideal situations that leave us torn. Even more so as Christians. We have been brought up to believe that helping people, no matter what the cost, is right and the loving thing to do. We carry it under many names and can even quote scripture on it. We say it is our cross to carry. Or a man has no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends. It is a beautiful way to spiritualize our problems and to give meaning to our suffering. The question perhaps to ask is what I am currently doing avoidable? Is this something beyond my situation, or is this something within my situation? Most people would immediately respond by saying that it is beyond them. They will say, "Do you think I like to be in this situation?" Even I have caught myself claiming to be a victim of my circumstance. If I stop for a while and really analyze it, I would have to admit that the situation I am in is because I have not actively made choices for myself and owned them. What do I mean? In all the examples given, nobody was able to say no. The grandmother is stuck throughout the day, having to take care of her granddaughter because she refused to tell her daughter the limits with which she is able to assist with her daughter. It is the daughter and her husband who chose to have children. It is not the responsibility of the grandmother to bring up the child. Even if the daughter tries to guilt the grandmother into it, the truth is that she is not being responsible for her daughter. It is not that the grandmother cannot help the daughter, especially if it is really tough on them, but the grandmother too has to set certain limits. If she cannot manage a full day, she has to speak up. It is the daughter's responsibility to find an alternative. Likewise, in the area of work, if we do not set limits on what we do or the extent we would provide assistance to others, it is our fault if we end up being overworked or cannot manage our own. Sometimes we have to be able to say no to the job altogether if it becomes unreasonable or beyond our capacity. The reason why the married couple is in the state that they are in is because they have not drawn the line between work and their relationship. Their work flourishes, perhaps, at the expense of the quality of their relationship. We may say, "You do not understand. We need the money." or they need me, or I'm afraid our relationship will suffer if I speak up. The truth is that because we have not done so, the relationship is already suffering. There is no mutual respect for each other, and that is not love. In a book I have been reading, the author reminds us that we are called to be responsible to each other and not for each other. He goes on to explain that being responsible to each other means, firstly, being responsible for myself and my life, and over and above that, I have the responsibility to help others when things are beyond them, but within my outer limits. To be responsible for another is to do things for the other which he or she is expected to do for themselves or by themselves. By doing things for others that they can do for themselves, we are not helping a person to be responsible for his or her own life. In short, it is about recognizing boundaries and learning to maintain those boundaries where necessary for the good of each other. The same author goes on to say that boundaries define us. They tell us what is me and what is not me. It helps us differentiate myself from someone else. More than that, boundaries are meant to protect what is good in us and keep out the bad. People can violate our goodness and disrespect us when they do not acknowledge our limits. If we do not have boundaries, we allow others to trample all over us in the name of love. Even God, who has full rights over our entire person, respects our yes to enter into a relationship with Him and to give up our time and love in the form of service to others. Even God does not lift a finger to help us to do things we can do for ourselves. God enters the picture when the burdens are beyond us to bear. When He says, "A man has no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends," or when He carried the cross meant to be ours and died on it for us, it was because we could not do it for ourselves. We could not save ourselves. And that is why He came to save us. Picking up our crosses means making responsible choices, which also include saying no to others for the good of all, including ourselves. Let us now kneel to pray the Memorare.